Alright, this video is going to be all about how to set up and use par levels in routeman. Par levels are your main products that you are delivering to a customer over and over and over again. So each customer can have their own individual par levels. If you look down here, we have a tab called par levels, and I can come in here and say the main product that I sell to this customer over and over and over is small bag 10-pound ice, and add that, and that will be the par level for this customer. Or I can choose multiple, so let's put 20-pound and 5-pound. Okay, so now I have par level products for this 7-Eleven. If I want to, I can add quantities in here as well. I can say edit, and I can put a quantity that I want to be the minimum that I would normally deliver for that company. If you enter a capacity amount, that would be the maximum that you would be able to fit in that merchandiser or that box. The minimum, you could record that, but the order that you create is going to key off of this par level quantity right here. So if you enter a capacity or a minimum, that is really just for the people in the office to be able to have a reference. So now what would happen if I wanted to assign par levels to a lot of people, like all of my customers? Well, the easiest way to assign par levels is through a group. So if you look up here, I have 1,081 customers in my database, but I'm going to choose a group, and this 7-Eleven is in the 7-Eleven stores, and I have 6 customers in this group, and I'm going to assign these par levels to a group. So you build the par levels that you want for the entire group on one customer, and then you say assign to a group, and you come in here and you pick your 7-Eleven stores and you hit submit, and it even tells you this is going to overwrite the par levels for these 6 customers. So it doesn't matter if they have no par levels, if they have very different par levels. After I click yes, they're all going to have the same thing right here. So I choose yes, and I'm reminded that the devices are going to have to do a full sync before the devices realize that there are these par levels for these customers from now on. Okay, so how would you do all of your customers? Well, you could have a group called all customers, and you could select any old customer that you have, create a par level for your main product or your main 2 or 3 products, whatever you would like, and assign them to the entire group. And in that case, it would be all of your customers. Now, it's important to note with par levels, if you add a person to the group after you've built those par levels, they don't automatically get the par levels of the group. That only works for pricing. That needs to be on your radar if you are using par levels and you add somebody to a group. You need to go ahead and match them to what the rest of the group already has. What you could do is, let's say I was adding a 7-Eleven, a new 7-Eleven customer, and I pulled them up, created their profile and everything, and it was blank right here, and I added them to the 7-Eleven group. I could simply choose a different 7-Eleven customer that has the correct par levels and assign to the group all over again, and it would update anyone in that group to have all the same par levels. So remember, you can have specific to the customer, or you can have groups, or you could have the same par levels for everyone in your entire company if that's what you would like to do. After you've assigned the par levels out to the customers, now it's time to consider turning on the settings that you want. So first, let's talk about host settings. So we're going to come to System Admin and choose Host Settings, and we're going to type in the word par. And this is going to bring up 2 key settings right here, filter hotshot products by par level, and filter hotshot products by par level and assign quantity. Okay, if you're using par levels, you're going to want to consider that if you send a hotshot out, do you want that order to immediately become a par level order? If you don't turn those settings on. And then the driver, when they click the button that says make delivery, they're just starting with an empty invoice. The whole idea with par levels is the driver is automatically going to have the right products right in front of him when he pulls up that invoice. If you're unfamiliar with that, you can use the search function on the help videos to look for making a par level invoice on Route Mobile. And that's a short video showing drivers how to make a par level invoice. Okay, next we're going to go to mobile settings. And here we're going to type in the word hide into the filter box. And the reason is because we're going to talk about you have multiple buttons that your drivers can use if they're using the Customer 1 tab to create the invoices. If your drivers normally look up the customer in the Customer 1 tab, they are normally choosing New Invoice, Par Invoice, or New Pay Invoice. And in this case, if we are wanting to get the drivers to use par invoices, what we're going to do is hide the New Invoice button. So in my case, I would hit Edit, and I would type in 1 in each of my devices, Hide New Invoice button settings. Now what's going to happen when we turn this setting on, it's going to take away the New Invoice button so that the driver automatically only sees the new par invoice button on any customer that has par levels set up. If you have a customer in your database that doesn't have par levels set up, the New Invoice button is going to still be there. So the driver will always be able to make one or the other, but by hiding the New Invoice button, you're going to channel him or her into using the new par invoice button. Finally, one other par level setting that you could use if you would like is restrict par levels. Now this is a setting that may sound good at the beginning, but really most companies find it very restrictive of their drivers, and this is only for drivers that are possibly new drivers or irresponsible drivers, and you want to keep them from making mistakes. And so you're going to restrict a particular device, and remember, these mobile settings are to rule the whole device, so it doesn't depend who logs in. No matter who logs into this, they're going to be restricted to only be able to sell par level products. And so you can turn that on by typing a 1 in those boxes if you choose. Alright, so now we've set up the par level products, we've turned on the correct settings. How do we actually dispatch where the drivers are getting par level orders? Well, one is through the hotshot window. So if you're taking orders through the hotshot window, you will see that when you pull up the hotshot, it's already defaulting to giving my par level products in the quantity that I've assigned. If I need to for some reason change that while I'm making the order, I can come into this par levels tab and I can edit the par levels, I can add new, I can delete away. So if the customer is on the phone saying that they need something different, you can make that change right here in the screen. Now when I submit that order, it's going to come to the driver defaulting to a par level invoice because I've turned on those settings. All right. The other way that you're going to be sending the orders is through the dispatch. When we come in here and we choose a route, we have the options up here to send empty orders, to send orders that are based on the invoice average over the last given number of days, or we can send orders that are respecting par levels. Now, here's why that's interesting. Yes, your orders are going to go, and any of the customers that have par levels assigned, your invoices are going to be automatically prompting the drivers as par invoices. But here's what else you can do. If you have quantities typed in for each of the customers on your route, then it's going to calculate how much quantity you expect to sell to your customers on that route on that day. So if I shrink that down and I look at the quantities right here in my screen, I can see that I have 10,000 of this product on the truck. And when I assign the route based on par levels, if I have those quantities filled in, it will show me how much I'm expecting. It says committed, but it's how many you're expecting to have to service those customers. So it can take a lot of time to set them up and put in the right quantities, but it can also help you gauge if you have enough product to service the customers on the route that day. Par level products are a completely optional feature, but a lot of our companies are seeing a benefit in the speed at which the drivers can make the invoices and eliminating the errors from choosing the wrong products for the wrong customers. So when you start a par level invoice, you're setting your driver up for success. As always, give us a call if you need some help figuring out how to make this work for your company. We'll be happy to help you set up par levels today.